It's quite a striking thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
80% of event organizers see in-person events as the marketing gold standard. You put all that energy into creating these moments, these connections.
Mhm.
But is the connection truly solidified right there with the handshake at the booth? Or does the real work maybe begin after? Nurturing those relationships, especially with the sponsors who make so much possible.
That really is the million-dollar question, yeah. The event itself, it's a powerful catalyst, no doubt. But sustainable partnerships, they aren't built on just one moment. They definitely require ongoing cultivation.
Exactly. And well, that brings us straight into today's deep dive sponsor appreciation events. Now, whether you're involved in the nonprofit world, maybe you have business partners, or you simply support causes you care about, you get it. You understand the value of strong connections.
And to really get into how to strengthen those specific connections, we've spent some time really digging into the ultimate guide to sponsor appreciation events.
Yeah, and this isn't just some, quick look. This guide really gets into the nitty-gritty. Everything from setting those initial goals right through to the crucial post-event strategies. It's based on research, practical experience. It offers a genuine roadmap for keeping those vital sponsors engaged and, importantly, feeling valued.
Mm-hmm. What really stands out, I think, is the guide's focus on shifting things, moving away from just a transactional exchange towards a genuine partnership,
Right.
where mutual benefit is really front and center.
Right. So our mission today is pretty clear. Extract the core wisdom from this guide for you. We want to give you a clear understanding of how organizations can make their sponsors feel truly appreciated, help them see the real impact of their contributions, and, ultimately make them want to continue their support year after year. We'll be pulling out actionable strategies, some really interesting insights too, that might just shift how you think about building and maintaining those key relationships. Okay, let's unpack this. Why are these sponsor appreciation events so fundamental to begin with?
Well, at their core, these events are really about strengthening that essential bond, that connection between an organization and its sponsors. They aim to go beyond a simple thank you. The goal is to actively boost sponsor loyalty and really vividly demonstrate the tangible difference their contributions make.
Right. It's definitely a two-way street. The guide is very clear. Nonprofits get huge benefits by retaining these sponsors, and ensuring consistent funding, even expanding their reach through these partnerships.
And looking at it from the sponsor side, the advantages are just as compelling. They get valuable brand visibility, sure, but also chances for strategic networking and that sort of intrinsic reward of knowing they're backing a cause they believe in.
And the flip side, what happens if you neglect that post-event follow-up? The guide hits pretty hard with this stat. A huge 53% of donors stop giving. Why? Poor communication. Just imagine the effort involved in securing a sponsor, only to lose them because the follow-up wasn't really thoughtful. It just underlines that appreciation isn't a one-off thing.
Precisely. It has to be an ongoing dialogue, a continuous nurturing of that relationship. So, okay, let's get practical. What are the key steps in planning events that actually resonate, that sponsors remember?
Well, the guide really hammers home the importance of starting with crystal clear, measurable objectives. It's not enough to just say, oh, we want to thank our sponsors. You need specifics. What do you want to achieve? The guide talks about these things called donor engagement metrics, basically. Measurable ways to see how well you're connecting. Things like new sponsor acquisition, retention rates, tracking meaningful interactions, even just total attendance.
And if your event has an advocacy angle, the objectives might be different. Maybe hitting a specific number of petition signatures or getting a certain number of people to an advocacy meeting. Having those concrete targets right from the start gives everything a clear direction. All the planning flows from that.
Absolutely. And then comes, maybe the less exciting part for some, but crucial, the budget. The guide outlines the essentials. Venue costs, catering, AV equipment, and good AV is so important, not just for presentations, but for making the whole event feel professional, showing sponsors their contribution is valued, and of course recognition materials like plaques or awards. You also need to factor in marketing, even staffing.
It's a whole picture, yeah. And the guide really stresses tracking everything carefully, both the costs going out and any revenue coming in. This makes sure it not only hits the objectives, but also makes financial sense, a good return on investment.
Now here's where it gets, I think, really interesting. Aligning the event with what your sponsors actually need. The guide points out that a significant chunk, 37% of event pros, find this tricky. It's not just about what you want to show off, but understanding what your sponsors hope to get out of it.
That is such a pivotal point. You absolutely have to understand their marketing goals. Are they looking mainly for brand visibility? Or maybe they want to network with certain people? Or perhaps they're more interested in interactive experiences that show off their company values.
Exactly. And the guide highlights something powerful
Hmm.
involving sponsors early in the planning. It can lead to big benefits for them. It mentions reports of a 36% increase in customer retention and a 38% improvement in sales win rates for the sponsors themselves when they're actively involved. That really makes it a true partnership.
It really does. Collaboration means the event delivers real, tangible value back to the sponsors. It makes their investment feel worthwhile, strategically smart for their own goals. So, okay, how can organizations make recognition that really stands out, that feels special?
The guide lays out a few key strategies. First one is tiered recognition. This just makes a lot of sense, right? Acknowledging different levels of giving. They give an example system: platinum, gold, silver, bronze. Each level gets core benefits, logo placement, maybe VIP seats, but then there are exclusive perks for the higher levels. This tiered thing kind of taps into how we perceive value, making those top-tier sponsors feel significantly more invested and appreciated.
Yeah, that structure gives a clear framework. It balances fairness, but also sets expectations for what different sponsorship levels mean. And those exclusive perks, like private receptions or speaking slots for platinum sponsors, they offer real extra value and, frankly, incentivize bigger investments.
And moving beyond just logos and seats, the guide really emphasizes the power of um, hands-on activities. This really struck me. They mentioned Habitat for Humanity involving sponsors directly in building projects. That's such a tangible, direct link to the mission.
Those direct engagement moments are incredibly impactful. The guide also talks about Project Sunshine connecting sponsors with the people they help, both in person and virtually. This kind of direct involvement goes way beyond just passive brand exposure. It creates a powerful emotional connection, a real understanding of the impact that's far more memorable.
Absolutely. It shifts the relationship from just seeing a name on a banner to a genuine felt connection with the cause itself. And then recognizing, the world we live in, the guide stresses using multiple platforms for recognition. With nonprofit email open rates averaging around 20%, you just can't rely on one channel.
Precisely. The guide makes it clear. You need a presence across digital websites, social media, and print materials like programs and annual reports, visually at the event with signs and screens, and of course, through personal verbal acknowledgments.
Yeah, this multi-pronged approach is vital, especially when you hear that reportedly 74% of consumers are more likely to engage with brands after experiencing their events. Consistent recognition across different channels keeps the appreciation visible and stretches the impact way beyond just the event day.
It really reinforces the value for the sponsors and makes sure their contribution keeps generating visibility and positive feelings. Okay, let's switch gears a bit to the operational side, mastering the event logistics.
Right. And the guide throws out a slightly sobering statistic here. 41% of organizations face multiple critical risks during events. So smooth operations are absolutely key. Venue selection is obviously huge. The guide lists the basics: location, accessibility, those directly impact attendance, plus the venue's capacity and layout for comfort and flow.
And these days, reliable tech is just non-negotiable. That means solid AV, dependable Wi-Fi. It's essential not just for talks, but for overall engagement. And of course, any venue choice has to fit the budget. The guide wisely pushes for an in-person site visit. You really need to see the space to know if it works.
Once the venue's locked in, it's all about the timeline. The guide gives a helpful condensed schedule, mapping out key milestones at 12 months out, 6 months, and then that critical final month. This covers everything from pulling your team together and defining goals way ahead of time, down to finalizing catering and doing meticulous tech checks right before you open the doors.
That long-term view is so crucial for planning and executing well. There's a quote in the guide from Mike Fletcher that really nails this. Managing a great event starts with great planning. So the first thing you should do is create an event planning timeline. Simple, but true.
And look, no matter how well you plan, stuff happens, right? Unexpected issues pop up. That's where proactive risk management is vital. The guide covers common things: bad weather, tech failures, maybe staff shortages, having solid backup plans, clear ways to communicate issues, even spare equipment ready to go that can save the day.
The guide really pushes for setting up a cross-functional risk management team. People from different areas who can anticipate problems and build solid contingency plans. Aksa Ayub's quote in the guide sums it up. Preparation and proactive planning serve as the foundation for effective event risk management. Anticipating potential risks and instituting preventive measures is crucial to the success and safety of any event. It's about being ready.
Okay, so we talked a lot about prepping for the event and the event itself, but like we touched on earlier, that period right after the event, that's where the lasting impact is really cemented, or sadly, sometimes lost. The guide brings back that stat. 53% of donors stop supporting because of poor post-event communication. That's a massive number.
It really drives home that the appreciation event is just one piece of a much bigger ongoing relationship strategy. The guide stresses how vital it is to report tangible results back to sponsors. You need to clearly show the real-world impact their investment made.
Yeah, the guide outlines a good structure for that report. It should include a solid event overview attendance, reach key engagement metrics like social media buzz, compelling visuals like photos and videos, and crucially, a clear ROI analysis. That analysis needs to link directly back to the goals you agreed on with the sponsor initially. And, as the guide smartly advises, use impactful visuals. Don't just dump dense text on them. Tailor the metrics too. Focus on what matters most to that specific sponsor.
Transparency here is absolutely key for building trust and reinforcing the value of the partnership. And, like the guide suggests, it's not just about talking at them. Actively getting feedback from sponsors is just as important. The guide lists different ways to do this: post-event surveys, social media polls, maybe even virtual focus groups for deeper dives.
That feedback loop is so valuable, not just for making future events better, but for making sponsors feel genuinely heard, like their opinions matter. There's that Fine Arts Center Bonefish Grill example in the guide. It shows perfectly how direct sponsor feedback led straight to better benefits and a stronger partnership.
Yeah.
They actually listened and changed things.
Exactly. And building on that engagement, the guide offers practical ways to keep those sponsor connections strong long term. This isn't just a once-a-year thing. We're talking about things like regular monthly impact updates, maybe quarterly newsletters, personal check-in calls, even giving sponsors early access to details about upcoming events.
That consistent, varied communication really reinforces the feeling of partnership. It keeps sponsors plugged into the organization's ongoing work and mission. The Pride Financial Partners Gala example is neat too, putting their logo on bid cards, which directly link to more donations. That's a creative way to make sponsors feel essential to success.
Now, let's talk about how technology can really boost all these appreciation efforts. The guide mentions platforms like Help You Sponsor and the tools they offer. It sounds like these can seriously streamline a lot of the admin work, right? Things like a donor portal for self-service, automated communications to keep engagement going, integrated payment processing with Stripe or PayPal.
Exactly. Like Missy from Agua Viva mentioned in the guide, these integrated platforms can pull together what are often separate databases and processes. That means a big drop in admin time, which frees up staff to focus on more strategic, personal engagement. More high-touch stuff.
And it's not just about efficiency. The guide really highlights the power of data-driven recognition. It says organizations using platforms like this have seen, on average, 3.8 times growth in sponsorships. Why? Because they're using data better. That's a huge impact.
It really shows the value of understanding your sponsors more deeply. The guide talks about personalized recognition tools, things that track individual preferences, giving history, allowing for tailored impact reports, and more personal thank yous. Plus, automated features like welcome emails based on sponsorship level or regular updates help maintain that consistent communication.
And the performance tracking sounds incredibly useful. Customizable dashboards to monitor key things like donation trends, engagement levels, event attendance. The filtering tools let you pinpoint maybe long-term sponsors who could use extra engagement or identify those who seem less involved.
That ability to segment and personalize outreach based on real data, that's absolutely key to building stronger, more meaningful relationships. The guide even mentions the proven impact of things like personal thank you notes and phone calls on retention, and how these platforms can help manage those personal touches, even when you have many sponsors. The fact that over $19 million in donations have been managed through Help You Sponsor, that kind of speaks for itself about its ability to support serious recognition efforts.
So, as we pull all this together, the guide makes it crystal clear. Sponsor recognition isn't just, being polite. It's a strategic necessity with real benefits. They bring in compelling research showing 86% of sponsors value corporate social responsibility highly, and 84% think it influences their own customers' buying decisions. That powerfully connects sponsorship to wider business goals.
It really does. It shows sponsorship often isn't just about charity. It aligns deeply with sponsors' business aims and their CSR commitments. Building those sustainable partnerships needs that consistent year-round effort, plus clear communication. Like Stefan Fulsing from Sport5 put it in the guide emphasizing clear, sustainable specification, authentic commitment, and examinable result. It's about being clear and delivering.
Yeah, the guide really boils success down to a few core things. The power of personalization, the need for consistent communication, showing impact with data, and using multiple channels for recognition. These aren't just nice to haves. They're the absolute cornerstones of effective sponsor engagement. They deepen current relationships and help attract new ones.
And looking forward, the future of sponsor recognition, as the guide points out, really seems to be about leveraging those personalized data-driven insights and integrating digital tools seamlessly to create a truly well-rounded, impactful strategy.
So what does all this boil down to for you, our listener? Well, whether you're directly involved with an organization that depends on sponsor support or maybe just value strong relationships in your own life, the insights from this deep dive really highlight the huge power of thoughtful, consistent appreciation. It's so much more than just the event itself. It's about the ongoing conversation, the tangible proof of impact. That's what truly cements lasting partnerships.
Maybe think about this. When have you personally felt most appreciated for a contribution you made, big or small? What was it about that recognition that really resonated with you? And how can those same ideas, those principles, be applied to the relationships you value and support? This whole exploration of sponsor appreciation, it offers valuable lessons way beyond just the nonprofit world. It reminds us that genuine acknowledgement focusing on shared impact that's fundamental to building strong connections anywhere in life.